Howdy, partners. This is Mark L. Redmond, Western author, here with number 5 in the series, Welcome to My Study. In this series, I've been showing you a few things that I have in my study that matter to me because of the people that have given them to me or because of their significance in Old West history. Today, I want to show you a couple more revolvers that helped build the Old West. And this will be a short video. I just want to compare a couple of things and just educate you a little bit on the weapons in the Old West. When we talk about a 6-shooter, this is what everybody thinks about. When we think about the Old West, if you watch all the old TV shows and stuff, almost everyone had one of these, and they'd spin it around on their fingers and they'd fan it, which, by the way, nobody did in the old days. Fanning is holding the trigger back and going like this, but when you do that, you bounce the barrel all over the place, so you can't really hit anything. People in the Old West didn't really fan if they wanted to hit something. But I want to show you, Remington and Colt were the main makers of this kind of thing. The Colt, this was a replica of a Colt Peacemaker, called a 6-shooter because it holds 6 shots, 6 bullets. And the way you load it is by opening this little gate. And this is a non-firing replica like so many of the other ones I've used. You take a bullet, this is just a dummy bullet, and you put it in the chamber like this. I'll show you there, and you just push it in. If I can get it to go in. And you push it in like that, and then to eject the bullet, you have an ejector rod right here, and you use that, now watch, use that to push the bullet out. And then you turn the cylinder, you rotate the cylinder, and you put the next bullet in after you take the ejector rod and push the bullet out. So to load this thing, it takes you a few seconds or a few minutes, depending on how dexterous you are with loading and reloading. But this one, try to imagine for a minute, if you're riding a horse at full gallop and people are chasing you and you're shooting at them over your shoulder and you run out of bullets, trying to reload this while you're doing this on a horse is going to be pretty tricky. It will take you a long time to reload. It's not bad to reload if you're just standing still or sitting in a chair or on a bench or on a rock or something like that. It's actually pretty easy to reload, but it takes time. Another 6-shooter that you don't see as much in the movies. Now, this one shows up in newer movies, like some of the ones that Tom Selleck has done, and so forth. This one is a Smith & Wesson, called a Schofield sometimes. You see it looks a little different, but it actually is a little different because on this one, in that same scenario, if you're riding a horse and you run out of ammunition, here's what you do. You lift the lever, this pops open, pops all the empties out, and then while you're riding, you drop the other bullets in, fasten it shut, and you're good to go. It was just as reliable a pistol as the Peacemaker, functioned the same way. You pull the hammer back, single action, pull the trigger. Every time you pull the hammer back, the cylinder turns, and it's just easier to use, especially if you're on horseback. And for that reason, a lot of horsemen preferred this pistol to the Peacemaker. Now, there's one other gun I want to show you before I sign off here. I've talked to you about pistols. I haven't said anything yet about rifles. This again is a non-firing replica. This is the Yellow Boy, called that because of its gold receiver. It was a very well made rifle, very, very popular in the Old West. Worked like this. You loaded in the tube, you put it in a tube, loaded all the bullets through here. They go into a tube, you put them in through this loading gate right here, and then when you get ready to shoot, the first thing you do is this, and it puts a bullet in the chamber, and it pulls the hammer back and cocks it. Now, if you decide, if you're getting ready to shoot something, maybe a deer or something, and it goes out of range, then you can always let the hammer down, and you're safe. You can pull the trigger and nothing happens. All you have to do when you see it again, if that deer comes out from behind the brush, you pull the hammer back, and then you're ready to shoot. This particular one was a Henry rifle, made by the Henry company, and it had a saddle ring on it so you could tie it onto your saddle. It also had an interesting feature. It had a peep sight that you could put up like this and then adjust it so that you could shoot long range, and that way it gave you a much longer range than a normal rifle with just plain sights. And this one was very, very popular in the Old West. But I just wanted to show that to you. More and more, if you watch Westerns, I hope the longer we go, the more you'll see things and think, not because I'm trying to discredit modern Westerns or anything, but because I grew up watching Saturday morning Westerns back in the days when TV was black and white. And I just fell in love with the Old West, with cowboys who were shooting guns out of each other's hands from a half mile apart. They were riding the horses at a gallop everywhere they went. They twirled their guns around and spun them back in their holsters, pulled them back out, and shot 15 times without reloading from a 6-shooter. And I found out that Old West that I fell in love with wasn't real. It was just Hollywood's version of the Old West. Now, don't get me wrong. Those old programs like Roy Rogers and The Lone Ranger and Have Gun Will Travel and all those old shows were a lot of fun, and they still are, but they're not historically accurate. And my reason for taking the time to do these videos is to show you a little more about how the West really was. That's all for now. I just wanted to make a quick visit with you. It's been a while because Christmas and New Year's came around, and we were busy with family and friends just like you. But I wanted to share just a little bit with you, and I'll be back again hopefully next week. And who knows? I'll surprise you. You don't have any idea what you're going to see, but it'll be something fun. We'll talk to you later. Happy trails.